To keep in mind that it's not going to give you all the information about the people coming to your site and visiting. So you don't have any idea of personal information, you don't know anything about IP addresses. You can't have any personal information provided, and you need to be aware that you need to spend a lot of time to analyze it. It's not just giving the information to you. So you always have to think that you need to put a lot of time into analyzing the data, putting it into perspective, and using your industry knowledge in order to make that useful for you. So analytics has nice overviews. It has the dashboards where you have an overview of what comes in, which you can customize yourself. Then you've got almost real-time data. You've got the information, what's happening on your site on the same day, basically, which is pretty good for a tool that is free as such. You know a lot about your customers if you go and customize your report. For example, if you need to learn about search queries or matched search queries, those things that people type into a search and then your website appears. You learn if you build filters for this and reports for this, you can learn more about that. That enhances your keyword list, be it paid or be it organic. Yes, please.
Just because I know nothing about this, can we just take an example? So this lady here is a photographer.
Yeah.
She's got a lovely website, lovely pictures, and I'm getting married in 6 months' time.
Yeah.
I'm getting married in southwest London, so I say wedding dresses, southwest London.
Yes.
That's the only search criteria I put in.
Yes.
This lady's address comes up.
It won't.
50.
Okay. No, because you're searching for wedding dresses, London, which I'm not going to.
Okay, somebody's comes up.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody's comes up and it says, get your wedding dress here in South West London. And that's the search criteria.
Yes.
And somebody's comes up at number 25.
Yes.
Okay. And I look at the person. I get to number 25, and I actually want to go through.
Yes.
So I go through to the site. I have a bit of a nosy round. And I decide to come away, or maybe bookmark it, or
Yes.
come away and I've rejected it mentally, or whatever. Could you talk me through what can happen then with that information? So I've been in, I've had a look at her website, I've had a play around. The idea with this piece of software is that I would know she's the unique, wouldn't I?
Now, what you would, well, she would know. She
I
would.
would
You're
know
coming. You're coming. You're coming. Well, you would be the visitor in that example.
Yes.
She would be the website. So what she then sees in her stats is that some visitor, which would be a unique visitor because it's coming from your IP address.
Yes.
You came to her website, and then she would see that you have clicked, that you arrived from an organic search because you did go on the Google search.
Okay.
So it's not a paid search.
Yes.
You're coming from an organic search, then you click through your website, whichever the website that is indexed in that case. So it probably might be the home page, depending also on your search query.
Yeah.
You're coming to the home page, then you go through, for example, the gallery or testimonials or whatever. And then she would see that you would be one of those visitors that had 7 page views, for example. And your time on site would be 2.51 minutes, for example.
Okay.
And then exactly. So that would be metrics for user engagement. For example, Kelly comes to her site, and who has been before. So in this case, she would be a returning visitor. You would know that it's a returning visitor because the cookie is already set on her computer. So she is identified as somebody who is not new to the site. But you would still see that as a visitor and also as a unique visitor. So that is the information that you would get from that one.
Okay, so presumably then, if I were the photographer website, I would say, okay, once a month, once every 6 weeks, I'm going to look at my data and I'm going to look to see how many people have returned, how they got to me, and I go, actually, my website needs changing because they're only staying for 30 seconds.
Yes.
They're not going anywhere, they're not doing anything. And also, maybe some of the words that people have searched through, I need to include in my site, so I need to rewrite it in order to
improve your keyword.
Change these. If I don't like the stats, I've got to work out. So I need to change my website in order to fit a better picture.
Yes.
type thing.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes. But maybe I just go through this because some of those questions might be answered as I go away. As I go on, I mean. So, but that is also, as you were saying, or as I was explaining, like a path analysis. For example, if you have somebody, ideally, if your concept of your website would be ideally people come to the homepage and then go to a wedding and then go to gallery and then go to make a booking or something. If that would be in your perfect world, how people go in your website, and then you could maybe view these paths and see. Do people actually do this, or do they bounce off, or do they abort the site altogether? So then it is something that you look at all these different reports and then think of it. Why do people actually leave, or why do my sites and my pages not stick? So this is information that you can get there. So the data, how you want it. So there are different graphs. I don't know if you can see them so well, but you can choose them to be quite well. You can choose a date range. You can compare date ranges. Sorry, can you see it? I mean, it's just the interface really, but you can change those date ranges. You can compare bounce rates to like visits, for example, or unique visits, or unique visitors, normal visits, like page views. There's all these certain things you can compare and put them in perspective to find out what you need to know in those cases.
Can I just ask, does everybody understand the jargon? You know what a bounce rate is and what
I'll go back to that as well. I'm just giving a bit of an overview now, and I will talk about bounce rates here. Now, actually. So here, this would be a typical report in analytics, and it talks about metrics and dimensions. So dimensions would be what those things are. For example, Google Organic would be broken down into which browsers people are using, what country they're coming from, which city they're coming from, what's the landing page, the screen size, like hundreds of different sort of things that you can filter this traffic through. And then this will be measured against the so-called metrics. So the metrics would be visits, page per visit, average visit duration, percentage of new visitors, and bounce rate. So just to go through all of these, just to clarify the speech. So product revenue is quite self-explanatory. Visits is basically hits. So whatever traffic comes to your website, time on site, how long people actually engage with your site, the goal conversion rate. So whatever goals you set in analytics, how often these goals get hit and how often you convert basically. The average price, if you have a monetary website, if you have an e-commerce site, for example, clicks is more an AdWords term, so also whenever somebody clicks on an ad or on a search result. Impressions, how often your result actually shows up as such, because sometimes your result might not even be found, it might be there somewhere, but on page 300 or whatever. You've got a revenue per click, percentage of new visits, a bounce rate, unique page views. And a bounce rate, just to clarify this as well, bounce rate is then if somebody just has one page interaction with your website. So if somebody comes to your site via referral, via a search, via anything, sees the first page and it's for some reason not interesting them at all and they go away again. So whenever you have more clicks within your website and somebody goes again, that's just it's just an exit page, but not a bounce rate. I mean, at some point you have to leave, obviously. So, but bounce rate is if you only have one interaction. So what you need to do with the strategy, just like a very plain circle, which you should be doing. You should audit. You should be aware of the goals that you have and make out your strategy. Implement and customize the reports that you might need, or look at the reports which are most useful for you and your business. And then use your analysis to get some insights and act upon, improve whatever you are. If you improve, if you need your keywords to be improving, if you need engagement to be improving, look at those, look for whatever methods you need to be doing and act upon this. And go and repeat the process in order to keep up to date with your implementation. Is quite simple. When you go and sign up with your Google Analytics account, you get prompted a code, a little JavaScript snippet, which you or your webmaster puts on every side of your page. They're changing that at the moment. It's going to move to Google Analytics Universal. At the moment, it's a slow. What's it called? Not a forced migration. You can do it now. What you need to be doing is you need to change the JavaScript code, and the new improved version works better with Tag Manager if you're using DoubleClick, for example. Anyway, so it is. If you are doing it at the moment, you will be prompted to move to the Google Analytics Universal code soon. Anyway, works the same. What it does, it's just a JavaScript code which drops cookies on your visitor site, and that's how analytics works altogether. It just works with the cookies. And these cookies store certain information, maybe the time of the duration of the visit, if you are known, if you are returning customers, if you are a new visitor. So all of these sorts of things get stored in those cookies, and then it gets translated into nice reports, into visualization. So,
can I just ask very quickly, Chopin, who doesn't manage their own website?
So I can't obviously set up a page, can I? I've got to get the guy that looks after my website to. Okay.
Very easy though. What you do, you either ask him to set one up for you, or you just do it
Well, he can
yourself.
set one up, I don't know.
But he might have done.
Yeah, okay.
It's quite common. That like probably between 80 and 90% of all the websites are tracked with Google Analytics. And because it's a free tool.
Thank you.
It's a free tool, and so it doesn't cost you anything to run it. It's not a big maintaining it. It's just there. There are some privacy issues in other countries, like in Germany, where you have to anonymize IP addresses. Because what it does at the moment, Google still gets the information about the IP addresses and stores it in their servers. So there's obviously privacy issues, but that's also something that Google Analytics Universal will get rid of. So you will have not to do it yourself, the anonymization. Thank you, of the IP addresses, but that will be done automatically now. But what's also, the implementation of the JavaScript code is easy enough, and that's, I'd say everybody who has a website should just put it on, because it gives you some information, even if you don't spend a lot of time analyzing it. Excuse me. But you still have the information there. But then what you also definitely should do and be aware of is setting your goals. Like, what is a goal on your website? Is your goal a sign up, or is your goal a purchase, or whatever goal you have? Because that is something where it's really important to act upon if your goals are reached, if they're not reached. So that is
it actually helps you set the goals. That's the thing. It helps you set the goals so you can see it.
Well, not really, because what you need to do that beforehand, because the data won't really tell you what your goals are. Because if the data tells you've got a great presence on your home page, for example, that you can't set your home page as a goal, because that's not the goal of the business. The goal of the business is to make a purchase, for example. And then you can see the data. You see, okay, so and so many people actually have this purchase, so my goal conversion rate is excellent, or it's not.
Sure, but wouldn't the business set a goal, and therefore the website would help achieve the goal, by moving more traffic. So you could actually move the goal or change the goal, and the website would become an enabling tool able to achieve the goal. So if you're not achieving the goal, then actually the traffic on the website will tell you you're not achieving it, and therefore you need to move the goal or change the goal, or you have achieved it and you're now ready to set the next one.
Well, you can have multiple goals next to each other. So you could have, for example, if you are hairdresser, for example, and you do nails and you do weddings and wedding hair and just kids' hair. So you could have those 3 goals, and have them separately and name them obviously what they are, and then you can see from the conversion of the certain goals which one are achieved and which are not. So, but there are loads of goals that you can have parallelly. So these are just the main reports, like the buckets. These are, obviously they are in real time, and then you've got the audience report, you've got the acquisition report, you've got behaviors reports and conversion reports. So the audience is giving you information who your visitors actually are. The acquisition used to be called the traffic sources report. It is about where your visitors are coming from. And the behavior is what they are doing, how they're doing it, and the conversions mean how much are they actually worth to you, how much ROI do you get with them, how much return do you make with them. This is just the basic overviews. So when you have, for example, the audience overview report, this is what you see in which you probably don't see, but which it says the audience overview would give you the number of the people that visited your site. So that's in a certain time frame. It's like all the visits, all the hits that have been on your site. Then it breaks it down to unique visitors. As I was saying earlier, it would know that it's the same people coming back again, or if a visit, for example, could be one visitor could have several visits, for example, because it's me who's coming back, for example, and I can have many visits and either on the same day or as a returning customer or as a returning visitor. So this is just something that gives you information about loyalty as well. You know how many pages per visits you get on an average. And also this will also be broken down to different dimensions for certain keywords, for certain traffic sources, for example, duration, bounce rate. And then when you have, for example, the visits and you want to compare them with a different metric. No, is that not one? Sorry. Probably, now you know what, I did put that in a later slide. So I'll come back to that later, about the audience report. But now I'm moving over to the acquisition reports, and those are the traffic searches. That's quite interesting because Google has just reordered the acquisition tab. So it used to be traffic sources, and the channels used to be search, to referral, direct, and campaigns. So now this is broken up into 5 major channels, which Google predefines in the reports for you. So this is search organic, so everything that is done so it's search organic, search paid, referrals, direct, and social. So what you have with search, is everybody aware about search organic and search paid?
No, okay. Actually, I don't know why I didn't.
So, okay. No, never mind. So what is search is everything that you do, obviously on a search page. Can be Google, can be AOL, can be whatever proper search page you have. And then what you search, a certain term that you search for. And what happens then when you have, for example, the Google site, you've got your results, and some of them are paid results and some of them are non-paid or organic results. So when you think of the SEO efforts that you do, you always only would go into the unpaid results. So when you look at a Google page, just like having a Google page here, you've got your search term here,
Yes.
and then you've got like a slightly pink background, and then 3 ads here, and then on the right-hand side there are also little ads there. So these are all paid for. So these they're not being it doesn't matter how good their page rank is, which is important for the SEO results, but it's the SEM methods that you do with that you have there. So this is the difference between SEM and SEO. So you've got the paid search with Google AdWords or with Bing or whoever you pay your ads for.
Down the side, will they?
They come, yeah, exactly. They come on the top, on the side, and sometimes they also come on the bottom of the side. So that is the AdWords. That is the AdWords part.
Right.
And the other ones are the organic or the natural search.
Okay, you just can't do that. Yeah. Okay.
And that was what you were saying earlier about the results that you find within there. So if your page rank for whatever reason is not high enough, you might get still on the first page if you do paid advertising, if you do AdWords advertising, for example. But that also gets more and more expensive, so it's a bit...
I want to have a look. What can I Google?
Anything?
Try Googling wedding photographer and you'll get about 15,000.
I just want to see it.
With a large scale advertising.
Sorry, I just want to have a look at what you're talking about.
So, yeah, I'll talk to you, because we are, some people have to leave at 11, so I'm trying to get... So, so these are the new channels that Google segments it through. And then what are most interesting for especially getting keywords and such would be the Google organic and Google paid search. So when you look at the acquisition report, which is in your account here, you can see those which organic search and so on, which we had earlier, and you can see in this case Google organic search has the largest contribution to traffic, followed by AdWords. Obviously, if you don't use AdWords, you wouldn't have any paid, and then comes down to direct and referrals and very little social. So when you also have a look here at the medium versus the source, so the source versus the medium. This will be your visits will be segmented into those two. So the source, for example, would be Google, and the medium would be either organic or paid. The same with, for example, a referral site. So this would be the referral site, itjobrepedio.com, and the medium would be referral. So why it's interesting is to know that the source is where it's actually coming from, like the website or the search engine or whatever. And the medium would be like how it comes from. For example, if you have most of your visits from Google, for example, you still don't know what's the percentage between the paid and the unpaid search. So that's quite useful to know here if you pay for it or if it comes to you for free. One of those things which is a bit...
I subscribe with Yale, so if someone goes into Yale and puts me in, will that also come up on the Google search, or is that completely separate?
That would be a referral.
Right, okay.
Because what the real search is really only whatever. That would be Yale, and it would be.
Search.
I don't think that would. I don't know if it would qualify as search. It would be probably Yale/search. Organic, I'd say. But you would have to look in your report. It will definitely say Yale, because that will be your referral source or your search. I'm not too sure about Yale as such, because I'm not sure if it needs to be the Google search partners. Would you know?
I think, I don't know for a fact, but I'm pretty sure Yale is a search engine in the way of Yahoo and Google.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure Yale will come up, and then it would probably be...
Would be search.
I would have thought it would be organic search, because it's not...
Because you don't pay for it, yeah. You don't pay for
You're not
click.
paying per click.
Yeah.
So But the paid stuff only comes up if you're paying per click. There's this relationship between that person coming to your site and somebody getting paid for it for that click.
Yeah.
Whereas paying to subscribe to be on the directory in the first place is different.
Just a service.
Paid advertising refers to per click and payment.
Yeah. Or per impression. Yeah.
Impression.
So when the source comes through, and that source is a merchant source, and I know there's lots of revenue sharing, is that the point at which you analyse whether that merchant should be paid if the transaction is done?
Yeah.
Right.
For example, take your Yell example, for example. So if you pay X amount to be listed as a directory, to be listed in that directory, and then you would and have other whatever maybe merchants or whatever you do, and then you see that actually there's just a very small percentage, or under page average percentage coming from that sort of source, and you would either talk to them and say you do a better job, or we basically stop, or whatever. So that is also a good insight where that is all coming from. That is as here for the keyword report for the paid and the organic. So the good thing is here, if you go back and look for your keywords that you might want to add, or which you might want to expand, or which you might want to bid higher on, you've got when you come via your AdWords tab, so all these keywords are listed here, and I can see that, for example, the first one has 161 visits from there, and 80% is from new visits. So what this metrics would tell you is something about the loyalty of your customer for certain keywords, for example. The higher the percentage of new visitors, the lower the loyalty basically is. If you have returning customers, then the new visitors percentage would be lower. I mean, this is obviously, you need to see that as a whole. This is broken down for keyword. If you see it overall, then it might be a different percentage altogether. But just to give you an idea what this percentage tells you. Bounce rate, as I said earlier, bounce rate is pretty bad if it's higher than 60%, because that means that less people stay on your site, and your site is not very sticky. But just to give you also a benchmark, 60% bounce rate is not that bad. No, it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
It also depends on, if you know who's coming to your site, why people are bouncing. For example, I do have quite a high bounce rate, but I also network with a lot of photographers, and photographers are continually checking out each other's sites for website design and all this kind of crap. So I know that when I've done a blog post on Facebook, I get a spike of bounces, because people will bounce into my page and bounce back up again, because they just want to see what I'm doing. They're not actually reading the site.
And also for blogs,
it doesn't tell me that. That's where in isolation the numbers don't mean anything, because you have to see it in the context of your business.
And also blogs are one of the examples where high bounce rate doesn't really mean much about the quality of the site, because if you have regular followers, for example, you know that they might have read your last week's or your last blog post anyway. So they really just want to know what you've done as your latest and your most recent thing. So it depends really. That's what industry you're in and what you expect your customer to do on your site. But that's your industry knowledge. So the bad thing here, which everyone, especially the SEO people, are just very unhappy about, is when you don't use AdWords as such, but if you just use the organic search, and you look, say it again.
I don't do any paid AdWords at all.
Yeah,
it's
so
purely organic for me.
And then if in this situation you also go into your keywords report, you go into your organic report, and then you see out of your 3,000 visits, the first 2,500 keywords are not provided. So they don't give you any information about those keywords as such.
Because you're not doing paid.
Well, that is what everybody really thinks. The background why Google done this. What happened before 2011? This information was all. It was a brilliant tool for getting keywords, and everything was excellent. So what happened in 2011 under the idea of having privacy issues and securing the Google users, what Google did is that whenever somebody who's logged into their Google account, be it your Gmail account, be it your Picasa web account or whatever, if you have a Google account and you're logged in, which you normally are because it you seem to be logged in with whatever, you are automatically get, instead of a HTTP search, which is like the protocol, which is an unsafe protocol, it's already gets diverted to HTTPS, so a secure search. So that means it anonymizes your keyword. I mean, for some reason, it used to be quite little. The percentage was like 4, 5, 10%. And then it grew like 50% non-provided, and I just have about 85% non-provided keywords in the SEO section. So, yeah, that's too bad. So you don't really know much about your keywords there.
If I can add something?
Yeah,
of course. If you're, depending on what kind of website you have, and that's one of the reasons why I even work as blog sites, is there are other stat gathering bits of software out there. So I still do get that information, I just get it through different bits of software. It's just that Google never gives it to you. You can get it, it's really important to you. You can get that information, just not through Google.
And you also have, if I just finish on this one, because there's also, if you don't do search, if you don't do paid search, if you don't do AdWords, then obviously you can't use the SEM data. But if you do, you could use that data, and just like for a probability measurements, whatever works well for paid search will probably work well for unpaid search as well. Then other things you still have access over would be user engagement, all these sorts of things. It's just really the keywords that you're not being able to be provided. You can build your custom report, like for example the organic landing page report. That is something that if you go and do with your, I'll come to some of these later. If you do and tweak something with them, and what. Another thing would be customized match query data. Again, this is only for the SEM part. Then you would basically know what search query actually triggered your ad. But if you don't do AdWords, then this is not applicable either. Another great thing to do is to enable your webmaster tools, because then you will still get information about the keywords. So that is something, when you sign up to analytics, there's a tick to basically use webmaster tools, and that's, everybody really should be using webmaster tools also for indexing and all the different things of your website. So make sure that you do have your webmaster tools enabled. Another thing, it really depends if you don't really need to pay for AdWords, but if you're looking for keywords, it's a good idea to use the keyword planner tool. You can either go and make a pretend AdWords account. You just sign up and just use it as a shell account without really using any money on it. But you go, and for example, Google can scan your website and give you a keyword suggestions list, and then which you can then implement on your SEO efforts as well. So that might be a very powerful thing. And also Google Trends to see what keywords are being listed.
Sorry, Tanya, I need to go, but I'm going to take the video because this is the interesting bit.
Okay, all right. Well, thanks for coming.
All right, then. I'll leave a card if anyone wants to take one.
All right. Okay. Good to see you, Kelly. So that was like now getting all these bits and pieces.
Sorry, so you can set up a fake AdWords account without it costing you any money and just have a sniff around? Yes. I didn't know.
You don't. What you do, you basically sign up for an AdWords account, just on this one. And what happens is the billing information comes as a last step, really. So I have millions of AdWords. I just like to get certain screenshots of certain tools, or like how to get through the interface or whatever.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
You do this.
I'll pop in, I'm just changing.
Yeah, definitely. Bye.
Bye, see you later. Bye. So you do this, and then you also, as I said, you can do all these other things. You can, especially the keyword planner tool. It might work also as a standalone, but it would not work as well as a standalone. So as long as you don't put any payment information, any billing information into the account, you can put whatever in. You can put a fake daily budget in, or like not a fake one, but like what is if you actually did pay for it, and whatever you do, maybe if you always, whenever you create a campaign, just always make sure that it's on pause, that that it just doesn't run. So I mean, certain things wouldn't work. For example, if you the diagnostics tool, to see how it would look in the Google search, like these sorts of things. But for the keyword planner tool, it would be a really good idea to have that on, because of all the algorithms would still work, and you could use that possibly for SEO keywords as well. Any questions so far on that? So let's go a bit more about the audience overview report. So this is something that you can take a look at and get some information and some benefit out of, even though you might not have the time to get into creating funnels or creating different paths or filters or whatever. If you just have no measurement or no tracking of your website at the moment, then this is something that gives you just an idea of your traffic as such without investing too much time into it. That is the audience report, and that would be like the homepage of everything. Gives you a very accumulated overview of everything. That's what I said. We saw that earlier. You see all the visits and so on, and then when you go and click up here, you can select a metric that's against those visits. So for the visits, you can have versus the bounce rate, for example, in this example. So what it does, it also just automatically gets you the bounce rate graph into there as well, which is obviously on a very high level of information. Also, as I was saying earlier, the loyalty question about the percentage about new visitors and returning visitors, that gives you an idea as well. So you have that much of returning visitors. So 3 quarters are returning visitors, and new visitors is a quarter, which can be a very good thing and which also can be a very bad thing. For example, if you're just trying to get more new people to your site and you only have the same followers or you have the same people in there, but that is obviously depends on your goals. Demographics, etc. as well. So you've got information about the language, about the country. You can drill it down to the city where they are coming from. All of these pieces of information will be done under here, which will be quite interesting to see. For example, if you're doing it internationally, and you're coming from Japan, but you only sell the whole Europe.
Outside of Europe, America and Canada.
Yeah.
Beyond that, what visitors?
Well, visitors don't really harm you, though, would they?
No,
but they're not beneficial for you. So that is something where you could see here where they're actually, where they're actually coming from, and then what you can do. If you do only want Europe, for example, and if you have a very high portion of your people coming from Italy, for example, you might want to think of translating your website into Italian. Like these certain things here. Also, that's what I was saying about the language report. Like in this case, most people are coming with an English interface language, and then in the second one, it's French with like almost 3,400 people. So in this case, it might, if you have some budget to expend or whatever, this you would know that you would put investment into translating the website. Yeah, this is just like, you see, because the next difference for a language is just like 300 in comparison to those. It's all, you can't really see those data separately. You always have to put it in perspective. And then if you're a local business, for example, you might not have any interest at all in the language because, obviously you don't only need English for your stretcher magazine, for example, or Polish magazine. No, exactly. You might want to, yeah. Oh yeah, and that is also obviously you can also say about bounce rates, for example, if you do deliver, I don't know, stretcher mail or whatever, and if you had an online campaign, for example, and you had your magazine online, and you see that people are coming with a very high abundance rate, like a very high bounce rate. You can see that as well here. I'm not sure if this is here. It's a comparison graph. When you see, okay, people that have the interface with Polish, the abundance rate is so and so much lower than the site average. That also gives you indication about this. The comparison view, which turns out that if you have the French and you visit that page or that site, then it's a much lower abundance rate than the site average. So that's very handy to know, just like to see it visually, just very straight. You can go down to city, and you can go down even smaller. Not sure about how small it is in London, but I know that it would be cities which are even like regions. So I haven't. When you look at London, I think you do have Lambeth, for example. I'm pretty sure you have Lambeth, and you have whatever boroughs you have. I'm not sure.
Borough level, not beyond.
I'm not sure. We'll have to find out, but you can drill down very, very, very small. Because what you can also do, for example, you can exclude certain areas as well, and that is because I've been doing a campaign for somebody who wanted certain boroughs included. So you can exclude. But that again is from AdWords. I'm not too sure if that also catches up with analytics, but you would have to look into it. But you can basically just go in and drill down into you go from territory and you go to country and you go to city, and then it goes down from there. It drills down. Wouldn't be by it is by postcodes in the US, but it's not support postcodes are not supported in the UK as such, because the UK postcodes are just so small, aren't they? Just in comparison to like every other street has a different postcode. So I know that it's zip codes in the US, but it's not supported for the UK.
I have to go.
Alright.
She made enough noise.
That's fine.
She's not going to come next time.
No, she's fine, don't worry.
No, we're not staying. Come on. Say bye, everyone.
Ciao.
Say sorry. Say sorry to everyone. Say sorry.
Oh, she wanted to
Say sorry.
didn't even notice it.
Sorry about that. I really apologize.
Apologize.
Won't be here next time.
So and then another thing that I wanted to point out for location report. So this one is obviously over the whole of the UK. So in this case, we're looking at the visitors again. So you see, the darker the shade is, the more visitors you have. So if you see here, you've got the most visitors coming from England, and then a couple from Wales, and then Scotland and Ireland. So so you might, when you think of like how to improve your performance or whatever, the first instinct might be like you need to see for the visits, for the biggest audience is in England, so you might want to put efforts into England. But what you also need to double check is that obviously England might have the most visitors because it's the highly populated one. So when you actually go to a different view, when you go and look for the conversion rate, or the goal conversion rate, and you will see here that the highest converting ones are in Wales. So that is obviously quite useful to know that if you have, even though you've got a lot more visitors in a certain area, what you really need to focus on is who's actually going to make you money, who's actually going to convert on your goals. So that is something that you want to see the visitors view, and then also go and see into the conversion view. Yes. Yes. By city or wherever. Yeah, you can drill that down. But then for that, obviously, you also need to have your goals in place. So that's what I was saying. I was trying to say earlier. It's not, you can't really move your goals around. You need to set your goals, and then you need to measure against the goals. So, yeah, but that is quite useful because it's a little bit like impressions and clicks. So it doesn't help you to be everywhere, to appear everywhere. It's really the clicks that are, first of all, important because it gets through to your site. And then the other, even probably more important one is that those certain clicks also convert. Because, even as you were saying, you don't really want anyone from Dubai on your site because you don't deliver there. So it's pretty, it's an impression, it's a click, but it's more or less useless because it's not a conversion. It never will be a conversion because you're not selling there. Exactly. So this is something that you need to decide as well. So then it's just another, here you can see, well, again you probably can't, but here you can see all the different countries listed down here, like most of the kingdom, and then it comes down, and then this is again, you go and drill this down into region and into cities. So, yeah. Running a bit out of time, said about the returning visitors. That is something quite neat, also in the audience report. That is the visitor flow report. So what it does, you can come closer if you wanted to, but it's just basically says, it's just a visualization of how the people go through your website. So you have as probably in the very most cases, most people come to your homepage first, and then it shows you, like here in the second row, where they're going next. And the thicker this flow is to the other ones, the more visitors go there. So this is basically a funnel that Google shows to you how they go and navigate through the site. And if you, for example, I've had one example of a customer of mine. Most of them came to the landing page first, to the home page first, and then a huge portion went straight into the job posting site. So it depends, obviously. If you're running a very high hiring hiring activity, then that's fine. But if you really want to sell an event, or if you want to invite people to your trade show or whatever, that would be something that you wouldn't want. And then maybe think is there a very prominent link on your website for a job market or whatever, like these sorts of things that you might not have thought about that without the information on there. So just like something which springs to mind right away.
I just read you do this for a living, don't you?
No, just straight up.
I thought you worked for somebody, and perhaps this was your job, but you worked for a large corporation. You had to live locally, and you were sharing your knowledge.
No, I used to work for Google. For 7
next time
years.
it's the wrong time.
I do apologise.
No, don't worry. No, that's what I do now. Basically, look after accounts and I don't do the SEO bit. I do the SEM bit, the paid search, and I do the analysis of the
consultancy with, I think.
And I also do the training. So I work together with Google again, and I do trainings with them, and mostly for AdWords, not so. But I'm trying to get more into the analytics training.
I know they were marketing consultancy, which is just two mums who are really, really great. I reckon that you could do a little sideline with them because they do they work with lots of individuals like this to build their website, to do their blogs, to do that.
Yeah.
And they would really probably, as an add-on service, to sell some analytical work.
No, that would be great. Here we're running a bit short. There's just I don't know. I would have skipped this probably anyway because this is all about how the visits get calculated, about how the different cookies work. So I'm just going to cut that short. So questions now.
if you were going to say to people, focus on 3 key things, what would you, and really get to understand and understand what would you focus on?
That would be obviously if I didn't have any time and if I didn't have any resources to set up certain filters or whatever, I would go and get familiarized with the audience reports, like all sorts of the audience reports. And then depending also on the business and what you think your audience is, I would also go and explore a lot about what devices your visits are coming from. So because if you have more and more people coming, going away from the desktop, and it will be mobile sites or tablet sites. So it depends. It also depends a lot on countries. Germany is much further behind with all of this. So for example, for my German customers, I just say, if you don't have any money, then don't invest into a mobile optimized site because the traffic is so low. Everybody's still going to the computers or to the laptops to search for this. But here it might be it also, whatever business you are, people might just go on the mobile, just like retail or any food industry. It would be probably suicide if you didn't have optimized for mobile. So that would be something. And also, which might be handy. Also, if you have even if you don't have so much mobile or tablet traffic, what definitely would be important to look into the different browsers that people are using coming to your site. So it sometimes might happen that happened to a client of me also, silly things, but they were working in Internet Explorer. And the site, when it came up to me, the telephone number was cut off at Google Chrome, for example. And then you would also, that's another key, when you go drill down to the operating system or the browsers or whatever, and see for some reason Safari has a 50% higher bounce rate. Why? Look at it and see maybe you don't. Yeah, exactly. Maybe your font is just like all over the place, or your pictures are just way down, or whatever, or it's cut off, or it just looks a bit silly, really. So that is just something, because there are loads of reports in there that need quite a bit of fiddling, and you need to use regular expressions. Or you need to be very technical about creating certain reports. But if you don't have that time, then focus on the ones that are there and just drill it to what you need. But definitely look at user engagement, like time on site, visits per site. But again, it really is what you are after as well. If you're trying to acquire more people, maybe look in, maybe you need to look in different sources. Maybe need to acquire more over social, or maybe those social traffic doesn't really help that much because they bounce too quickly or too highly. But if you have no time and if you don't have the resources, go and look at your audience report, because that is and also the content. I would also look at the content report. That would be pages that show you which come up the most regularly. So if you have probably your homepage will be the highest portion, but then you go down and see what you might want to put more content on.
Everybody's after sparkling silver.
It's every sparkling, exactly. And then just sparkling silver nail polish, maybe you want to think of them going sparkly gold or something, like something like this. But also obviously always have also the goals in mind. So yeah, it's a bit hard because there's so much data dump in there, so it's incredible. So it's really important to have the strategy in mind before, and then just see on how you can find the answers to that. Weeks.
I had to rebuild 3 websites on the back of the devices user material when iCloud came out.
Is Google
Because my website
is
wasn't
Google
working.
compatible with anything else? So obviously you can get information on Facebook. I don't know if any of them.
Business going down the
It was
toilet.
it's
Before you
just about
decide, before you
Google.
worked out.
See what I mean?
Like your website.
You mean the information coming, the visits that are captured?
Yeah.
Now they are, like all your traffic gets captured.
Yes.
Except, of course, if people don't accept cookies, and if they, but nothing really works without cookies these days anyway. So it is. I mean, it is also not. It's also not a very exact science. So if somebody comes in from, you have somebody listed under Manchester, he might actually come from Leeds because the internet service provider might give him a different idea. So it is not. You can't nail it down, but it's but it gets all the traffic, and then. Like you would get the social bucket, I'd say you'd get the traffic that is referred from. Yeah. You would see Facebook, you would see source, Facebook, and then medium social. Sorry, you had another question.
I was going to ask, all of this traffic sits against, presumably, a universe. So you need to know how.
Sorry, 6 against users?
It's against the universe of users.
Yeah.
The global users. So you'll be looking at your traffic no matter how many people are actually online. So when you're looking at peaks, surely that will be affected by how many people are in the audience, or what percentage or share of that audience. So all your people are online.
You can drill it down, so you can drill it down to hour.
So say,
Is it 3 o'clock in the morning?
if it's 3 o'clock.
Yeah, you look 3 o'clock in the morning, then you go then you go at 3 o'clock. I'm not sure if you do it. Yeah, you probably do it. Oh, sorry,
Okay,
that's
so
the
you're saying
question.
if there's 100,000 people online in the morning and there's 200,000 people online at night, you need to look at your results in the context of how many people there are out there in the first place.
Yes, but do you?
Share might not be relevant.
But
Maybe not on a very small scale.
If you're in a corporation,
Just say, can you get at that data?
well, the thing is because it would make a difference obviously if you were a call center, for example, and you only had an open, you only are able to convert at a certain time. So if you say you only pick up the phone from 9 to 6.
No, that's not my question.
But if you have, but I mean the visitors, that would be evened out because they would still see your website, and they would, in your case, you would read them.
If they work during the day, of course they can only log on at night.
So can you look at the total audience through the parameters? You can track your flow against the flow of the total audience.
Of everyone on the internet in the world.
No, in your area.
You can track against competitors.
So you can't compare yourself to competitors because you wouldn't have any information about competitors. You only know what's happening on your side.
See, some people analytics, but I use a package called IBP where you can track competitors. No. Actually, so you
How much you're losing?
It costs me about 35 cents. It's not bad. I can't pay it to the front of the part.
Don't know.
What I never know is how, if you have different pockets of information, I never know how accurate they are. But this lady would have.
So basically what market share you have in that sort of.
Yeah, so you can say, you can put into that, who's my biggest competitor? So Southland and France. You can see what their traffic is over 50 years. You can't drill down to the detail level of people, but you can say, it's okay,
But would that I just who's providing this
So
data now?
it's just something called that example. The product is IBP, which is Internet Business Product. It also lets you transfer, search for a place where you check out the people who doesn't have that.
Yeah.
Example links are online like that, but it is paid for.
Yeah.
Alexander, sorry, did that just used to be, but I think it might be German. It is a lot of hard work.
No, I was just going to say,
Well, I'll wrap this up then now because okay, good. Hope you